Space. Space is the place where new types are born and raised and die.
My soul is weighed down by gravity.
Fool. You must free yourself with these tips I've found in space. Let me share them with you now.
Hey everyone, Too Much Wong here.
Spiker as well. Hope everyone's doing swell.
It's time to ride the skies.
In GBO2, space combat is nearly a completely different game compared to ground combat. Most players shy away from it because of the steep learning curve for space movement. We're hoping to change that. Stick with us and you'll find space combat to be the most fun you've ever had in GBO2.
Just like in ground battles, the same team comp strats, flanking, and pushing work well in space, but now you have other things to consider. 3D movement, drift mechanics, and a greater need for boost management.
If you play space like you play ground, you're just asking for him to come teach you a lesson.
Lieutenant Six! First, let's focus on 3D movement, the key to your survival. Compared to ground's XY axis, in space you now have a Z axis. Tip number 1. You want to keep moving in all axes and be an absolute pain to hit.
You can move up, down, left, right, forward, and back. Although a simple concept, it can be a lot to master, especially for new players. Along with 3D movement, boost management is equally important. Tip number 2. Boost is your lifeline in space. Without it, you're literally dead in the water. You need to be able to keep moving, flanking, attacking, retreating, comboing, etc. Conserve your boost where you can, and use it when you need to move quickly.
Not only that, boost can also save you when you get staggered. Tip number 3. If you're staggered, boost straight up or straight down. If they follow up with a melee, momentum will keep your suit moving right above the enemy or below them.
We really can't stress the importance of conserving your boost enough. That said, tip number 4. Space-compatible suits get extra buffs in space. Everything highlighted in yellow are the extra buffs you get for using a space-compatible suit. Not only do you get even less thruster consumption, but also more speed, turning, high-performance balancer, and AMBAC level 2. Well, except for that guy.
Ah! What is this AMBAC you speak of?
Don't worry about it. We'll talk about AMBAC in just a bit.
To see if your suit is space compatible, open Hado, go to MS and Customize. Choose a suit, hit Customize and scroll from the stats screen to the next. If it's specialized for space, the space icon will be lit up in light blue. Sorry buddy, only in Maxiboost. Another way to conserve boost is to change your builds. Tip number 5. Use more thruster parts. We suggest 2 types of builds. Either tank with HP and resist parts along with thruster parts, or turning and thruster parts. Usually, we run tank and thrust since spacesuits have enough turning speed to keep up. Use whatever works for you.
You've chosen the right type of suit, and you're using good parts. Let's talk about movement and special movement. The most important part of this video. On ground, you boost forward, back, left, right to get somewhere quickly, since it's the most efficient way to move other than walking or floating to a destination. Just like on ground, you can boost to move quickly in space. But there's some hidden mechanics that'll set you apart from those bound by gravity. Space in GBO2 has something I like to call drift mechanics. Whenever you boost, let go of your boost. Your suit actually continues to move a set distance before stopping. This momentum happens on ground too, but in space, you cover a lot more distance. Drift or drag can be frustrating if you can't control it. A skill called AMBAC is what helps here. AMBAC allows you to cancel drag as long as you hold the analog stick or movement keys in the direction you're moving. Tip number 6, whether on ground or space, practice committing your movement to the direction you're going. This way, you can get comfortable with the concept of AMBAC. You boost forward, hold forward on your movement. You boost back, hold back. You boost left, hold left, etc. You need to practice doing this. Be one with your suit. Move together.
Once you've mastered that, you can use AMBAC properly. Does that solve the drift drag problem? Not quite. Now you gotta learn to use drifting to your advantage. How? With the help of an important skill called force injector. You can see if your mobile suit has this in its skills section. Now this is where things start to get fun. Force injector is a suit skill that lets you cancel a boost with another boost to quickly change directions and stay unpredictable.
When your suit drifts after boosting, it actually maintains the speed you were going in that direction. Tip number 7. With force injector, we can use this to our advantage by slingshotting ourselves in a direction to move even more quickly and efficiently. Here's how. Step 1. Choose a direction and boost. Step 2. Let your suit drag. Step 3. Immediately tap thrust and ascend or descend at the same time and hold until, and I stress, until your suit is upright to use AMBAC. Step 4. Witness. Your suit should be drifting upright in a direction at high speed. This is useful for moving around the battlefield quickly. You can also fire stand to shoot weapons while in this stance and still be moving. Pretty spiffy, huh? Notice that instead of boosting entirely to the desired point, you actually drifted to it using special movement. Best part? While drifting, your boost meter recovers. Cheating? I think not.
While drifting, you can tap any direction to adjust where you're going. Say you've mastered the drift mechanic too. Now what? There's yet another secret technique for us to teach you. You've learned how to use AMBAC and drift. Now it's time to unlearn it and learn it again. Tip number 8. Tap a direction and boost at the same time. Release both immediately to let your suit drag. We call this technique tap boost. It'll look like you're flailing, but that's not a bad thing. Your suit's hitbox will actually be fluctuating, which is harder to hit altogether. You can see that you'll cover a lot of distance while recovering your thrusters. You can chain tap boosts back to back. Just remember to take advantage of drag between tap boosts to reduce your boost consumption. When you're ready to go on the offense, tap boost, but end it with AMBAC to cancel drag. That way you're able to attack.
It's all coming together. Yeah.
Now what does it look like when you apply all this tech? Something like this. You can chain tap boosts and drag, use AMBAC to drift and fire stand to shoot weapons. All this while you're recovering boost and constantly on the move.
While you move in all directions, keep an eye on your radar and assume that just like in ground combat, arrows pointing in your direction will have you in their sights. Tip number 9. Most space maps have a lot of floating cover, so move between them and use all the axes to avoid getting hit. Did you know we have a lot of tips to share? Tip number 10. Since everyone has a large blind spot below their suit, approaching enemies from below is a very strong option. You'll have them in your sights, while they'll have to slowly rotate their suit to face you. This is especially effective for raw melee. Still, be careful of attacks to the front, as the enemy has a chance to counter.
Speaking of radar, you may have noticed that arrows on the radar get darker or brighter. Tip number 11. If the arrow is darker, they are below you. If they're the same brightness, they're on the same plane. If they're lighter, they're above you.
Hey, could you have guessed it's time for tip number 12? Space also has special movements like emergency braking. If you press ascend and descend at the same time, you'll perform emergency brake, which lets you turn your camera quickly. You'll also nullify staggers at the exact moment of the brake. This is interesting, because if you can predict the enemy's attempt to stun like you would guarding or transform nullify, it can throw people off their rhythm for a moment. Here's a hint. Keep an eye out for a chance to counter tackle if you pull this maneuver off correctly.
If you've noticed, bazooka rounds can be easier to land than beam rifles in space. Beams travel quicker, but can be harder to land due to their size. Explosive rounds move slower, but explode near the target. They act kind of like proximity mines. Just get the round close enough and it should hit. Tip number 13. When aiming with a ballistic weapon, you'll want to try and fill as much of the box with the enemy's body or where their body is going to be. When aiming with a beam rifle, try aiming with a full circle rather than just a center dot.
Now that you understand space, practice and master all these skills. Oh, and one more tip, because we clearly didn't give you enough. Tip number 14. At the start of the match, hold forward and boost so you don't break at the beginning. Keep that forward momentum going and start off with a strong push.
That's it for now. If this video helped, please like and subscribe. Maybe we'll even be able to pay our bills. Leave some feedback in the comments section and let us know what you want to see next. You can also stop by my weekend GBO2 streams on Twitch if you have any questions.
Come stop by my YouTube channel as well. It's Spycro4, just like my name. A lot of great GBO2 vids to help you out further, or just provide some fun. And also my Twitch, as I'm streaming now too. I'll be streaming GBO2 in the near future, so come say hi.
Practice all the space tech we shared.
Or else, he's coming.
Lieutenant Sanders!